While the Nile River may be the longest river in the world, historical beliefs by scientists are that the Amazon, with its volume of water discharged into the Atlantic and its number of tributaries, may be the largest. The Nile is reported to be approximately 3,400 to 4,400 miles. The Amazon is 3,900 to 4,300 miles. The creation of the Andes Mountains some 15 million years ago led to the evolution of the Amazon River. Prior to the rise of these amazing mountains, the river flowed into the Pacific, with a large portion of this huge body of water landlocked for nearly 5 million years. When the mountains were created by tectonic plates crashing into one another, the river reversed course and found an ocean outlet in the opposite direction, to the Atlantic. The Amazon and its tributaries flow through the countries of Peru, Bolivia, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, and Brazil before emptying into the Atlantic. This is at least 4,000 miles from the headwaters of the Andes, a short distance from the Pacific Ocean. Along its route, the Amazon nurtures the largest rainforest on Earth and provides life for enormous amounts of flora and fauna. The vast Amazon basin has an area of about 2.7 million square miles and is nearly twice as large as that of the Congo River, the other great equatorial drainage system. Nearly 2/3 of the Amazon's main stream and basin are in Brazil. It is estimated that about 1/5 of all the water that runs off Earth's surface is carried by the Amazon. The flood stage discharge at the river's mouth is 4 times that of the Congo and more than 10 times the amount carried by the Mississippi. This is about 1/5 of the fresh water that flows into the Atlantic, diluting the saltiness of the ocean for nearly 100 miles. This is the largest river delta on the planet. Lands bordering the Amazon and its tributaries are largely forested and become flooded every rainy season. Annually, the massive river rises more than 30 feet, weaving through the world's most vital complex ecosystem. Flooding the surrounding forests, it can span the shores 30 miles in many directions. Marcy is going to tell you about the rainforest. While scientists argue to this day about the real source of the river's flow, the most widely believed theory is that the Amazon River flow originates high in the Andean Mountains. The headwaters of the Apurimac River had been considered for nearly a century the Amazon's most distant source, until a recent study found it to be the headwaters of the Mantaro River. The Apurimac, Mantaro, and Maranon rivers join, along with others, and run through numerous countries, forming the main stem of the Amazon. The Brazilian section is the home of Manaus, the largest city on the river. The Amazon was initially known by Europeans as Maranon, known today by that name in Peru. It later became known as Rio Amazons by the Spanish and Portuguese, and the English simply called it the Amazon River. The name Rio Amazons was reportedly given after native warriors attacked a 16th century expedition by Francisco de Orellana. The warriors were led by women, reminding Orellana of the Amazon warriors, a tribe of women warriors related to Greek mythology. Other scholars believe the name came from the Native American word meson, meaning boat destroyer. In 1500, Spanish conquistador Vicente Pinzon was the first documented European to sail up the Amazon River. Pinzon called the stream Santa Mara la Mar Dulcet, later shortened to Mar Dulcet, meaning sweet sea, because of the fresh water pushing out into the ocean. Colonial and religious settlements were established all along the banks of primary rivers and tributaries for trade, slaving, and evangelizing indigenous people. Since that time, the Portuguese portion of the Amazon basin has remained largely undeveloped by agriculture and occupied by indigenous people. The Amazon region is home to more than 2,000 species of fish and more than 400 amphibians, including anacondas, piranhas, river dolphins, and an enormous amount of frogs and snakes. An amazing discovery in 2011 confirmed the existence of an underground Amazon River, mirroring its above-ground twin in length and flow. Named after the discovering scientist, the Hamza River is believed to be up to 4 times wider than the Amazon River, but with much less water volume. The rise and fall of the water is controlled by events external to the floodplain. The floods of the Amazon are not disasters, but rather distinctive anticipated events. The upper course of the Amazon has 2 annual floods, and the river is subject to the influence of tributaries that descend from the Peruvian mountains rainfall, which occurs from October to January, and from the Ecuadorian Andes, where rainfall is from March to July. 2 seasons create a flow that merge into one. Thus, the rise of the river progresses slowly downstream in a gigantic wave from November to June, and then the waters recede until the end of October. With thanks largely to Greenpeace, another discovery in 2016 was that of an enormous coral reef stretching about 600 miles, covering an area of 3,500 square miles. Sediment hid this area for decades and now reveals a unique ecosystem comprising a wealth of marine life. Over the last couple of years, researchers have discovered giant sea sponges as heavy as small elephants and an impressive collection of exotic sea creatures. Considering the length of the Amazon, it's surprising to learn that there are no permanent bridges across the river during its entire length. There are, however, 412 dams, 151 of which are constructed over 6 of the main tributary rivers that drain into the Amazon. Since only 4% of the Amazon's hydropower potential has been developed in countries like Brazil, many more damming projects are planned or are underway. Scientists looking at the negative effects of environmental degradation, sedimentation, navigation, and flood control caused by the Three Gorges Dam on the Yangtze River. They are worried that constructing more dams in the Amazon will harm its biodiversity. Blocking fish spawning, reducing the flow of vital nutrients, and clearing forests could potentially bring an end to the flow that contributes to this amazing biodiverse ecosystem. Of note is the Pororoca, meaning big roar, the name given to an amazing tidal wave phenomenon that occurs in the delta during full moons about 3 times a year. This unique wave meets the river's flow, causing an immense backwards tidal wave that can travel up to 500 miles inland. For the last 20 years, this event has brought surfing competitions to the area because of the wave that seems to have no end. Another interesting fact defying the odds of dangers in the Amazon River was Slovenian Martin Stale, who took home his 4th Guinness World Record for long-distance swimming when he ran this mighty river in 2007. He also swam the Danube, the Mississippi, and the Yangtze rivers. He swam the entire length, a distance greater than the width of the Atlantic Ocean, dodging flesh-eating piranhas with the help of support boats that drop raw meat and blood into the river to distract those fish. We all know that we live on a planet whose incredible ecosystems are linked in more ways than we could ever understand. Yet in the Amazon, the proof is in the nutrients. The rivers leading into the Amazon are fed pivotal minerals, which in turn feed the rainforest. The river, feeding the rainforest, brings essential minerals like phosphorus from sands which blow across the Atlantic all the way from Africa's Sahara Desert. It's been tens of millions of years since Africa and South America were joined, so it's astonishing to know that the 2 continents are still so linked.